What's up guys, Lifting here. Welcome back to the third video in the series where we talk about what kind of stats or affixes one should want to get on an item in order for it to be either good, useful or valuable. And in this third episode we'll be talking about chest armor pieces. As I say in all my videos in this series, keep in mind that the stats or properties one wants on his or her equipment of course depends on the build that you're running. But the stats that I'm going to recommend to you here in this video is most likely always going to be either good or useful for your character or valuable to sell to other characters or players. And keep in mind that any rare item can have a total of 6 affixes, where 3 of those are prefixes and the remaining 3 are suffixes. In order to get a really good item, you need to get the 6 most attractive or useful affixes that an item can roll. Besides rolling the right affixes, you also want to roll the highest tier of these affixes. Depending on the item level of the item, you are able to roll different tiers of the prefix and suffix. In general, you could say that the higher item level, the better tier of the affixes you can roll on the item. So let's get started. As any other equipment, the base type of chest armors comes in armor, evasion and energy shield base variants. Then in between you have the hybrid armor energy shield, armor evasion and evasion energy shield type variants. Depending on the base type, different properties can be rolled on the chest armor. Armor based chest can roll increases to armor and strength, evasion based chest can roll increases to evasion and dexterity, and energy shield based chests can roll increases to energy shield, intelligence and mana. And as you probably already know, a pure armor evasion or energy shield based chest armor can roll higher of the respective defensive properties compared to the hybrid versions. For that same reason, most people prefer to either use or buy a non-hybrid chest armor piece, simply because most people decide to concentrate on only one form of damage mitigation, and for those situations pure base types are the better choice. So let's take a look at the prefixes and suffixes a chest armor can roll. For prefixes, you can see that a chest armor, depending on its base type, is able to roll physical damage returned to melee attackers, local flat armor evasion and energy shield rating, local armor evasion and energy shield increases percentage, and local armor evasion and energy shield increases plus based on recovery. We also have increased maximum life and added mana or increased mana. And once again, remember that a rare chest armor can only have 3 prefixes, and the 3 most useful or valuable prefixes on this list is local armor evasion or energy shield, increased maximum life, and lastly either mana or flat armor evasion or energy shield added. And those are the properties that most people typically will pay for. For suffixes, you have the options of rolling additional strength, dexterity and intelligence. Again, depending on the base. We have life regeneration, fire, cold or lightning resistances, chaos resistance, reduced attribute requirements and increased stun recovery. The 3 most useful or valuable suffixes are either the elemental resistances, added attributes and chaos resistances. And the least valuable of these 3 is most likely chaos resistance. But again, it really depends on what your character needs. You obviously don't want added attributes if you already have the adequate amount of attributes you want. Chaos resistance is always a nice bonus to have. Chest armors are pretty straightforward. In most cases, you simply want to improve the base defense that it provides and typically get life and tri-resistance rolls, or at least a dual resistance roll with either added chaos resistances or added attribute rolls. So an ideal chest armor piece would therefore consist of the following prefix and suffixes: increased armor evasion and energy shield rating, local armor evasion and energy shield rating, and increased maximum life. That's the prefixes. For suffixes, you would like to have fire, cold and lightning resistances or tri-resistances. Getting these 3 suffixes and prefixes would, if the item had the good tier rolls, make it very valuable. But let me show you another example of a valuable chest armor. On this chest armor we have increased armor evasion and energy shield. As before, we have increased maximum life, but instead we have increased mana this time. We also have dual resistance rolls, so lightning and cold resistances, but instead of the last remaining elemental resistance, we now have chaos resistance or strength, dexterity or intelligence. Now if your character is using chaos inoculation, then you obviously don't want to roll life as a prefix or chaos resistance as a suffix on your chest armor. An ideal chest armor for chaos inoculation build would instead look something like this. increased energy shield percentage-wise, increased flat energy shield, and local energy shield increases plus base stun recovery. You then want either tri-resistance rolls for your suffixes or added attribute stats for your chest armor piece. And also another thing to keep in mind that I also mentioned in the previous video is that an item does not always necessarily need to have 6 properties or affixes in order to be good. Having a chest armor with life, increased armor, evasion or energy shield along with dual resistance rolls sells pretty easy depending on the tier rolls of the affixes, of course. Nobody wants to buy a shit tier roll, but if it's decent it should sell. If an item has room for an additional prefix or suffix roll, people sometimes use an Exalted orb in the hopes of getting that last good suffix or prefix roll. And one thing to keep in mind here is that you could mastercraft that last suffix or prefix, but if you instead use the Exalted orb, you have the chance of rolling the highest tier of the property, which mastercrafting is unable to do. Now lastly, let me show you a few examples of chest armor pieces on PoE trade that I consider valuable items. On this first example, you'll notice that this chest armor has all the ideal prefix and suffix rolls. So life, flat armor, percentage increases to armor, and those are the prefixes. For suffixes, it has managed to roll tri-resist rolls, fire, cold and lightning, and basically this chest armor has rolled all the valuable prefix and suffix rolls. Additionally, it has managed to roll only the top tier rolls of each of the affixes. Guys, this chest is worth an insane amount of currency. Very valuable. So here's another example of a chest armor that has rolled the right type of prefix and suffixes. On this Vol Regalia, we can see that it has rolled life, mana and increases to energy shield. Those are the prefixes. For suffixes, it has rolled dual resistance rolls and added intelligence. And because of this mix of ideal prefix and suffixes, this chest piece is also worth a lot. It does not have the Tier 1 only rolls as the previous one, but since it still has decent rolls of the right type of affixes, the value of the item will remain high. One thing to keep in mind here is that this chest armor has been corrupted. And when an item has been corrupted, the value of the item typically decreases, as it makes it harder to work with, as you won't be able to change socket colors, links and so on. And with that said, you should of course always keep in mind that anytime an item has been 5 or 6 linked, the value of the item typically increases a lot as well. And as I said before, chest armors are pretty straightforward as long as you have increased armor, evasion or energy shield, life and at least dual resistances. If they have that, they can typically be sold fairly easy. As usual, I would like to tell you guys exactly how much these items are worth, however I simply can't. There are way too many variables to take into consideration, but just keep in mind that if the chest armor have the right type of prefix and suffixes I have demonstrated in this video, then it will most likely be worth something and fairly easy to sell. The value of the chest armor piece of course depends on how good the rolls of the affixes are, and the prices because of that can vary anywhere from a few chaos orbs to a couple hundred exalts. And now I will leave a link to poemods.com in the description. In here you can look up the specific items and see what kind of affixes you can roll and what item level they require to get the good tier rolls. Anyway guys, I hope you found this useful. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?